As always, thank you for taking the time to click another Ultra Instinct video. Like I say, Ultra Instinct's a mentality. It's not just a build, it's a playstyle. And today's highlight will be the newest addition to the game, Spiderman. A quick explanation on the playstyle is that it's focused on his support heroic that summons a drone. Honestly, ever since Final Fantasy XI Beastmaster class, I've always had the soft spot for pet types classes in the game, and Spidey in Avengers pulls it off nicely. The build honestly is focused on Spider-Man's drone cunning perk, which gives your drone attack status effects based off your range gear. So if your range gear has double status on it, your drone can battery off himself or set you up for battery damage. This perk is found on named defense gear in vaults or the exotic version from Last Avengers Standing. I would personally recommend the exotic version. I'm not aware of the drops on discordant raid gear yet, but let me know in the comments below. The second perk to focus on would be the Spider Drone Extension perk, which adds 10 seconds to your drone. It's pretty straightforward perk. It helps with your drone uptime. You find this perk on heroic name gear from the Elite Hive and Villain sectors. But if you're efficient enough or have a nice team setup, you can pass on it. And finally, to top your damage, try focusing on a heavy combo finisher in your melee slot. And yeah, after those three perks, it's basically RNG and your playstyle. If I was to point out a notable mention, the discordant web shooter from the raid. If you're lucky enough to get a faultless buff, it complements a melee playstyle. Sadly, the status on the gear doesn't work at the moment with the Spider Drone Cunning perk. Could be a bug, but it is also worded differently than most pieces. For tips, one thing to take note about the drone damage, it's based off the buffs you currently have on. So example, if you summon it and then get a damage buff or a tachyon surge, its damage will basically be adjusted accordingly. And also when it comes to your heavy combo finisher, the best way is by jumping and doing your air combo version. That's the fastest way to do it and most efficient. And as always, shout out to the whole DSG crew for helping test out this playstyle. It works in the OLT and the raid. Haven't reached elite raid yet, but I'm not even worried, and it's only a B tier at the moment. The fact it doesn't depend on web status for damage makes it 100% viable for boss fights. I will give my final thoughts on this whole web issue at the end, but if you need to get a glimpse of my gear and skill choices, or just even skip to a certain wave, don't be afraid to use those timestamps. And as I said, my final thoughts will be at the end, so with that said, let's get to this B tier clear. Enjoy. yeah, that's a wrap on another Ultra Instinct video. Thanks as always for sticking around until the end. My final thought with Spiderman. Personally, I love what they did with the drone support. It shows how they can get creative with perks and how they interact with your heroics. For the playstyle itself, like I pointed out, it doesn't depend on web status. So the fact you can't apply web status on bosses won't affect the DPS extremely. Realistically, you're only losing 10% damage. Could make a small argument on the 15% crit chance, but if you think that's stopping you from doing damage, I would recommend you seriously rethink your setup. The only issue you should come across with the drone build is your support misfiring. That's a definite DPS loss overall, but the playstyle is still fun. If you're running a full team in raid, don't be surprised if enemies are stacked with 4x status minimum. All core pieces are farmable. Stacking your personal buff is seriously easy to do. Just the playstyle overall feels different and I enjoy it a lot. If you're having a hard time understanding Spiderman, I would say try it out. And with that said, if this video gave you a better insight on this hero, hit that like button. That would be much appreciated. Also, don't forget to subscribe to get notification on future content. If you have questions on the video or my build, leave a comment. You can follow me on Twitter where I post video clips, build updates, and insights on games I play. Or you can also find me on the DSG Discord. I'm starting to get back into streaming. Don't really have a fixed schedule at the moment, but the links will be in the descriptions below. So until next time, be safe and take care. 調子に乗るなよ、加藤主。